Kurt Vonnegut, before becoming the Kurt Vonnegut, once briefly held a job as a sports writer. Asked to write a piece on a local horse race, Vonnegut wrote, "The horse jumped over the fucking fence." Vonnegut found himself self-employed. When writing about Doom Eternal, I feel a little bit like Vonnegut must have felt. Doom Eternal is better than Doom 2016. Done. Why is this even debated? Normally these capstones become harangues on all and everything video game at whatever time I make them. But here, what can be said? As I read back over my Doom 2016 capstone, except to say that Doom Eternal is all the things Doom is, but better. Suppose the challenge is twofold. First, that Eternal has to escape the shadow of its, admittedly, excellent predecessor, and second, one must dispel with the notion that Doom Eternal is just more Doom 2016, or that to change 2016 is to blaspheme the video game gods. There are fundamental and contradictory changes made to 2016's loop in favor of tighter and less repetitive gameplay. The game is more difficult, while also being easier. You're more powerful than ever, while also less applied than ever. Doom Eternal is a self-described combat puzzle, and as anyone who's played the game will tell you, it fits the bill. Gone are the days of spamming the super shotgun to victory. Power is earned in Doom Eternal. Choosing the right action backed by the correct tool at the precise moment lends to moments of greater power fantasy than 2016 was capable of. However, as many other reviews will mention, enemies like the Marauder highlight this change more than most.
You were nothing but a usurper. A false idol.
Oh my god! Die! Die! It's easy! You've been hit 6-7 times with this shit! Die!
Up to the Marauder, a player can find themselves playing in a similar way to Doom 2016, albeit with less effectiveness and quickness than is achievable. I know I was the victim of this, as I was almost brought to the point of quitting on ultraviolence because of the Marauder and he can shield all damage, has a long-range whip with an AoE short-range blast, but to top it all off, he can summon a dog ad nauseum, which, in my opinion, still does need some tuning. Either friendly fire shouldn't spawn the dog, or kill the freaking dog altogether, but sticking with it and beginning to embrace the combat puzzle concept, by my Nightmare run, I had less difficulty with the Marauder and more difficulty in calling trash mobs around him and managing the arena. In other words, it was on me, yo. And while, come on, admit it, the Marauder killed all of us at least the first few times, he is, a few weeks after launch, one of the better enemies for the challenge he presents. As much as I raged early on, as much as there was general rage at launch, I think it has been wise to stick to their guns and keep the Marauder in, as players like myself shifted to playing Eternal like Eternal, and not its predecessor. The Marauder goes from that thing that won't die to getting a challenging block in Tetris. So after finally coming to accept that Doom Eternal wasn't Doom 2016, what's revealed is a game where the levels, arsenal, skill, and enemies have all been polished to the level of French cuisine.
Look at that, within two of those. Yes! Dude, that was fractions of a second we had left on that.
Given that extra once over for the lavishing's sake, that makes all the difference, which is what Doom Eternal is all about, and why in final comparison it's better than 2016. The right tool at the right time. 2016 is one of the best shooters ever made, don't get me wrong, but Eternal is better because it took that game and refined it. There's a level of polish rare in its shine amongst the one thing that hasn't changed since 2016. Games are still largely releasing either in a prototype state at the AAA level, or like Anthem have budgets and deadlines that ballooned and the focus is lost. Doom knows what it is, the defining FPS franchise in this young medium known as video games. Early complaints I had that Doom 2016's self-aware non-story is erased by a fully realized lore and more complex character in the Doomslayer. A man too angry to die becomes rebel leader, semi-deity in a prophesized civil war between ancient races, is ultimately not a weakness. Such are Doom Eternal's strengths that weaknesses have to be sought. Largely, the story remains background noise for those who wish it. As I said, the horse jumped over the fence. I do have qualms with Bethesda's hacking features out, like the Doom invasion or their invasive DRM policies, but that isn't id or Doom's fault that Bethesda has become Bethesda. I will say that Doom is a victim of its own success, much like Borderlands 2 and Borderlands 3. I can't imagine there's few tasks more difficult than following up a masterwork with another masterwork, but to play Doom 2016, even to look at footage from the time, is to see that id did manage to do so with Eternal. The arenas bleed refinement. Every movement and action player will take seems to have been thought through, worked out, tested, again and again. What's remarkable these days is that devotion to detail even went into inanimate objects and background noise the player will hardly even notice. My favorite example is that while the player rushes past scene after scene, skeletons lay underneath the water, giant titanic skeletons are scattered across the background, and horizons have been given the thrice over to deliver more beyond expectations. As an aside, this can sometimes cause some confusion in the platforming, but it's not very punishing besides, oh, I guess I can't go that way. This well thought through loop of right tool at the right time is made more impressive in that as tight as the gameplay has been balanced, there are still options to any scenario. One Slayer may prefer the rocket launcher to super shotgun in that hallway with the annoying Marauder and 5 Revenants, while another will prefer the plasma burst into the chain gun. The one thing that a player can't do is use a mechanic of 2016's Doom where they just empty their magazines. Doom Eternal is harder than Doom 2016, and a false solution is met with punishment. Punishment that if met with the player's own refinement and choice and strategy delivers rewarding victories if learned from. Only on the first few runs of the Gladiator boss, and probably my first 100 failures to the Marauder, did I ever feel the salt begin to flow. But then, looking back on my mistakes, combined with a better understanding of an enemy's unique weaknesses, I eventually was able to deliver the victory blow. Again, Doom Eternal has been mastercrafted with balance in mind. Perhaps this doesn't extend to all the alternate fires across all the weapons, the microwave beam being one gun I never seemed to figure a good or powerful purpose to, or the Unmaker over the BFG. But these are the exceptions, not the rule. To me, Doom Eternal stands alone as a reminder of what AAA is and should be. A well-produced, polished, thoughtfully designed, elegantly coded, combined with sounds and animations bringing it to full life. A win considering that Doom 2016, the franchise in general, is a brand across gaming, and whether you played or didn't play 2016, like The Witcher 3, is simply become a game where it's accepted as brilliant. Eternal had a very real chance to sputter. High school talent, but dad was Barry Bonds. But it does, after all, live up to the billing. Eternal, unlike 2016, is currently less fleshed out than its predecessor though. Can't comment on battle mode, I didn't feel an urge to play it. Perhaps it's great. I enjoyed 2016's multiplayer. I see Eternal will be getting content updates that seem to approach the invasion feature, and we'll see 2 story add-on DLCs. I'll likely revisit the title once some time has passed, and it's probable Eternal will have matched 2016's level of content. Doom Eternal is the haymaker following the volley of punches from against the rope that is AAA currently. Eternal, following the legacy, is both a sequel and a remaster of Doom, now Doom 2. The message is that AAA development still manages a heartbeat. Fittingly, this message is delivered through one of the first modern AAA studios. And this heartbeat says, here's why, despite all that's transpired between both those that play the games and make the games, AAA still is the best vehicle with which to realize video games' potential.
Against all the evil that hell can conjure, all the wickedness that mankind can produce, we will send unto them only you. Rip and tear until it is done.
We must pray now, brothers. Pray that he is watching.
Please, anyone, if you can hear me, if you're out there.
Attempting to acquire the Hellpriest signal.
Nearly 60% of our planet has been consumed by the invaders.
We have the Hellpriest signal locked in. The target is marked, but the signal will not hold for long.
For it is he that they fear, not man, or his armies. They feared the mark of the beast.
Eternal says also that if you're going to not offer all that a game has at launch, it's okay, so long as you deliver on what the game does have extraordinarily well. Doom Eternal's campaign, with multiple difficulties, collectibles, achievements, cheat codes, challenges, arsenal, story, and at its zenith, the continued realization that Doom wears the crown as the standard by which all FPS bears comparison, showing that classic, Fundamental game design trumps flash, convoluted limits of power, attempts at realism. The sprint is on by default. The jump slide bunny hop is called a double jump, a dash. Eternal is a triumph as a slashing parse of modern complexity, getting to the same place in half the time behind a bandstand of metal, and the total compulsory immersion of the player as an instrument of rage. Doom Eternal takes Destiny's busy work mechanics, Halo's loss of identity, Borderlands' buffet of half-baked or half-working elements, and aims a super shotgun blasting out in a single kablam of punctuated sound and a resonating carnage, a 3 out of 3.
The only thing they fear is you.